Welcome to Julie Whitney Scott Presents Let's Talk Theater, a Mind for God production sponsored event, heard only on WGRN LP 94.1, the Green Renaissance Station. Let's talk theater. I am so happy to have Miss Alanna with me today on Julie Whitney Scott Presents. The first thing that I want my audience to know about you is that you are a remarkable, young, talented actress that we have right here in Central Ohio. And I first saw you at MadLab doing plays, and was also blessed that one of my plays that was selected for one of the festivals that they had there, I think another company put it on, but you got to play one of the ladies in the play, and you did such a wonderful job. And I was so pleased when the curtain moved and you came out, because I was like, oh man, I know she's going to get it, because you are such a great comedic, your timing and everything. I just like it. And of course, I like the fact that you're a young African-American woman that is out here doing your thing. So what I want you to do first for my audience is to talk a little bit about who you are and how did you become this actress. What made you decide, and at what age did you decide that, hey, I'm going to take my talents and my gifts to the stage?
Well, it's been a long time coming. I never really made that decision growing up. I'm more of a visual artist, a painter, writer type, and I kind of dabbled with it a few times, like in middle school, like during class plays. I didn't really like it then. I was just too shy, and I tried again in college with our sketch comedy troupe. Oh, yeah, a sketch comedy troupe, Pirate Theater. I did that for a little while and then focused more on my major. And then most recently, what brought me back to the stage in Columbus, I was doing my thing. I had my job teaching at a college. I just finished grad school, and I was just working all the time. I was just scrolling through my emails. I get all sorts of newsletters from different performance companies. And I saw this one for this script from this little theater that always sent out Billy Joel quotes. So I emailed them. I was like, I'd like to read the script I was curious. I read the entire script on my break. Like I had a break between students. So it was like on my break, and I just laughed the entire time. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to audition for this play. If I don't get it, I'm going to see it, because I just haven't felt this good in so long. And like a week later, I went over to MadLab. I auditioned. I left. I realized that I forgot to put my phone number on my audition form, so I sent an email to the person who sent me the script, and I got a call from Stephen Woosley saying I was assigned the part of Daisy in the NSA's Guide to Sex and Love. So that's what brought me back to the stage recently in Columbus.
You said that you were an artist, a visual artist. I think that that's really interesting. What I found is that people in the theater usually have other outlets that we use to express our creativity. What kind of artist were you, and are you able to use what you have made and you create visibly, that you see into your acting?
Well, I do mostly painting these days, but I'm kind of an interdisciplinarian. 2D installation art as well. I haven't dabbled in sculpture. It scares me a bit, to be honest. I've tried and failed in the past. So as far as painting, I've definitely incorporated it quite a bit into my theater work. As far as like makeup, sometimes I have to do my own costuming, either for myself or for others. Helping with promotional stuff. Definitely having a sense of like color palette and angles really helps with doing that type of thing. But as far as visual arts, I haven't done it so much here in Columbus, but more so when I actually, I've done a lot of things. I used to manage events. So I threw this fashion show back in New York State. I was the coordinator person in charge, yelling at people and just using my visual art to not only help with some of the designs and set the stage in this old decrepit gym, just knowing your colors and how, like, oh, these people want to make these colors. They want this costume, but on their color wheel, those those colors crash. So, excuse me, those colors clash. So I've been using it to more to elevate a production in a way.
So you have been able, with your artistic ability, to not only work in front of the scene on the stage as an actress, but to help behind the scenes, because behind the scenes are so very important. The set and the design, and like you said, the costumes and the colors and all that. So that makes it even more interesting, I would think, for you or for anybody that would have you work with them and be a part of something that they're producing, because you bring all that with you. You don't just bring your acting. Talk to me about acting in Central Ohio for African American females. Have you found that you're able to give plays, or are you interested in spreading out into different genres of the theater outside of comedy?
I would love to spread out into different genres. I know personally I started in comedy because it was sort of like kind of a healing process for me. I had a lot of drama in my life. I didn't want to bring it to the stage. It was more of a cathartic thing. So, but as I've looked into other roles, many people don't know this, but actually last year, 2019, I had told myself when I got back from London, I was done with theater because of just some of the difficulties I've had just, that artistic struggle you have with yourself where you don't know if you're good enough or if people take you seriously. And I found that, especially how do I want to phrase this? It is difficult as a woman of color, especially a tall, pretty woman of color who doesn't fit into a lot of the stereotypical Black girl traits, Black woman traits, to find a role. So I know I've kind of clipped my own wings in a sense where I'm going to go for this comedic role, or I'm going to go for this like pretty girl role because I can do it. It's easy for me, and I know I won't let someone else diminish my shine in a way by telling me that I need to behave this sort of way or be more Black. So it's the sense of control for me, if I'm being quite honest. But looking at some of the roles, and I definitely haven't gone out for some auditions. I've read the pieces and I look at the parts, and I just, knowing the theater scene in Columbus, it's getting better. I just didn't even go out because I didn't want to waste my time. I'm a very selfish person with my time, like always. Like I'm out and about performing and stuff, but I am very selfish with my personal time. So if I see a role and who's running it, like who's directing, who's producing it, and even if they claim to be, I don't know, diverse or women centric, I just won't waste my time going out for it. So I just, you have to put up those protections for yourself, especially as artists, because we're such vulnerable, empathetic, visionary people. And if you don't have those protections up, people will take away all that you give.
I am so pleased that you've been really honest with this interview, because I, as a dark-skinned woman, have felt the same exact way in regards to roles, and I'm sure that we are not the only ones, that
We're
feel
definitely
this
not.
way, because there are also those of us who are African American who may be a little bigger, maybe your average size woman, which is just our natural build, that feel this way about, I'm not going to be accepted because I'm overweight, or I'm not slim enough. My rear end is too big. My lips, and it is a hindrance. And I like that you use the term how we have to protect ourselves, because as artists, as you said, we are vulnerable. That's artists. Most of us, we wear our hearts on our sleeve. And at least, and for example, I write a lot, so I have to choose when we're writing, how much am I going to expose?
Yes.
Because when you write, you are, you're writing about what unless you're doing nonfiction, you're writing about what you know. So you have to decide, well, how much am I going to give? And it's the same in looking and going, as you said, for auditions. How much of me am I going to put out there to be rejected? And based on, like you said, the climate that we know that has been in Central Ohio, because this is where we are right now. So that's what I have to deal with, Central Ohio, the climate of not accepting us as we are, tall, thin, and beautiful, exotic looking, medium height, dark skin, right there in the middle. You know what I'm saying? So thank you, for being honest and sharing that, because I'm sure there's many actors, and not just females. And I just also want to say, and not just of one particular race. I'm sure as actors, with what I'm saying.
Yes. And honestly, you mentioned my piece that I performed, or your piece that I performed in. It was for 2X Sketch, and it's a woman-founded sketch comedy group. And I remember going to audition for that, for that show, and seeing all types of people auditioning and being welcomed there. And this was before I knew the founders better, but I was like, I love that I can show up to audition and know that that person who's very talented and just has this beautiful aura is going to be accepted for their talent. And they were, and I've worked with these people more so, but just seeing more of that in Central Ohio gives me hope. And I love that you love that I'm honest, because I know that it's not for everyone, and honestly, I don't care. So I have to live with me. That's not my problem. But yeah, that's one of the things too. I guess that ties into the protection thing too, that artists and actors have, because technically we lie for a living when we're on stage putting up that face.
Yeah.
But I noticed that a lot of us kind of have that hard time being honest with this is from Cat Williams, so being honest with our key player, with ourselves. So yeah, thank you for appreciating that.
Yes, I most definitely appreciate that. And when my show, Let's Talk Theater, I don't want to, just talk theater. I want to talk about why we're here, what gets us here, and what keeps us going. In this era of theater, especially now, with the climate that we have. Let's talk about. You brought up something when you said we're actors, and so we're not really telling the truth. Have you, as a as a woman of color, had difficulties? Now I'm gonna take this on another thing here with Let's Talk Theater.
Go.
Okay, have difficulty dating men who think that you're acting, or has acting in your job or anything ever, the fact that you can act. Has anybody ever said to you, oh, how do I know you're not acting with me? Or is this the real you? Or are you, is this just me that's happened to? I've always wanted to ask another, is this something has that ever happened to you?
I actually get the opposite, where I've tried to be I myself. I try to be myself, and they have these expectations of like me being, I don't know, it's like they almost want me to put on the airs and such, which is also pretty diminishing. It's like right now, like I'm just I'm dating for authenticity. And even when I was like kind of dating for fun, there'd still be that like air where they expected me to be like, actress, like flirty or whatever. So I haven't had anyone outright accuse me of, I can't remember the phrase, but just like, how do I know that you really like me? How do I know you really love me? I'm like, you're gonna know if I don't like you because I won't be talking to you. Again, I'm very selfish with my time. So I haven't gotten that accusation, but it is hard being an actress. And also because I model, I get a lot of that too. I've actually had a few exes get kind of resentful, jealous of the magnetism I have. Like, or I'd be out. I remember this when it was after the Rolling Stones concert here a few years ago, and I was walking with my then partner, and we hear this yell from down the street, and it's this guy. He says something kind of like inappropriate to my partner, and says like, "Who's that? Blah blah blah." Blah 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 with that gorgeous woman, and we can't see who it is, but it's one of his friends, and he saw us from like halfway down the block, and this just flood of people. And I remember after that, like our relationship kind of like started to, it was on its way out, but it like really plummeted after that. So he just couldn't deal with the his insecurity with being with someone as I'm just saying someone as like attractive as I am. So
Yeah, like, girl, I'm really loving this interview because you are just being straight up about some of the things we have to deal with. Earlier, like you said, um, it is very hard, and I'm really happy that you at such a young age understand that it's other people that have the problem with how you look. It's other people's insecurities that you're an attractive woman. And it's unfortunate that sometimes we women, and especially sometimes women of color, based on our history, and Lord knows you don't want me to start talking about Willie Lynch, but our history of slavery that divided us as a people, through all levels, it also divided the women in that not being able to accept all of us of all colors in our race, of all shapes and sizes, and just glorifying in the beauty of the beautiful Black women that we are. And so because of that, we sometimes find intimidation that we're not trying to, it's not from us, but it's just from what you think or perceive due to lack of insecurities, not realizing that the pretty girl has insecurities too.
Yes, everyone has insecurities. Yes. It's very interesting. So like I think you're speaking upon like colorism, which I honestly like.
I don't mean color. Color, intelligence. Ability to socialize and feel comfortable around other people. Like, I'm the type of person, everywhere I go, I meet a friend. I'm just like that. Anywhere I can go, anywhere, and be the only female, be the only Black person, be the only woman, be the only person who thinks this way or thinks that way, and feel really comfortable and get along. That's a gift.
Just being able to like
everybody doesn't have, and it intimidates some people because it's why are you all you see what I'm saying? So no, I'm not just talking about color. I'm talking about the makeup of the woman.
Okay. Oh yeah, I'm thinking of what you're laying down. I was just like, I don't know where I was going with that, but yes, the whole, this dealing with the insecurities of others. It's actually pretty hard. Again, a lot of the women in the Columbus theater scene have been incredibly accepting, and I'm still like, I feel very like it's a breath of fresh air for me just from some of my international travels as like model or like entertaining, and some people aren't so nice, and it's just wild how they act out when they feel intimidated. But yeah, it's just really nice to be accepted as I am. Um, with the production I did last year with Available Light, it was just an all-female, well, with the exception of one male, and an all-female cast of all shapes and sizes, ages, and it's it was just a really nice experience. And I think, other than the cast just being phenomenal, um, the the basis of the play, we're all basically 12-year-old girls in a dance school, and I think taking us all to that place really emphasized that connection that we're all women, we're all here, and we're all doing our thing, and we all love art. And when the play itself really highlighted some of the challenges that like keep people from creating or really push people into creating at such a young age that really influences them the rest of their life.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad you brought that up, because there has been and there is continuing to be theater companies that are coming in Central Ohio that are opening and welcoming and are doing some really good stuff, and are going beyond the box and using actors and actresses based on their talents and their abilities to do the roles, and not just keeping it status quo in
Keeping it
regards to
boring.
what you see. Yeah, when you go to the theaters. So, there are lots of theater companies right now in Central Ohio, and I'm very happy to be a part of this, of what's happening in the theater in Central Ohio, because of the dynamic expectations of some of the theater companies now that have decided that we are going to use non-traditional role actors in roles. We're not going to keep it all status quo. Original works, by original playwrights, which original works by original playwrights, that's what opens the door for diversity, for us to have roles, for parts, for all actors to want to act.
Yes, like well, that's part of the well, I don't think we mentioned it earlier. You mentioned that you saw me first at MadLab, but I'm actually a MadLab ensemble member, and one of the deciding factors in actually joining the ensemble is because it is a professional original works theater, and it has all those opportunities for like zany ideas or just plays that are just a little different, but also just more recently accepting of all like kinds of people, which I've like really pushed for that actually. There wasn't a problem before, but like sometimes I'm like, all right, it's the same thing, but let's mix it up a bit. Recently, within the ensemble, me and a few other members have started a diversity committee, and we already at MadLab we've already participated in a few diversity kind of, I don't want to call them efforts, but things like, for instance, we partnered for the past 2 years with a nationwide children's hospital, Camp Rad, which is a summer camp for children with various types of intellectual disabilities, which I think is really cool. We unfortunately couldn't do it this year because of COVID and such. But one of our efforts is really honing in on the types of plays we're bringing in, which are all original works, love it, but just doing a closer reading at like the types of characters, who's sending this in, like what's the background of the author and such.
Yeah, that's one of the things I've always really liked about MadLab. And I have, over the years, watched them increase the diversity in the actors, because I remember going and never seeing any minorities.
Yes.
In the plays, and enjoying it, but always in the back of my head, like, how come they don't have any Black actors, for some of these roles? And I watched them progress from that to, now when you go to MadLab, it's not just all white actors. You're going to see different actors. You're going to see minorities, and you're going to also see older, not just young. They're senior now. They're bringing in senior actors. Which they probably always had. I don't know, but you know what I'm saying. When you go to MadLab Theatre, you're going to see diversity. You're going to see not only diversity in race, but in ages, which I think is a really important thing, because it represents all of the actors in Central Ohio. Well, Alanna, before we leave, I always want my actors, although, hey, I must say, you've given some good nuggets all through this interview. Okay?
We can keep talking. How much truth do you want? Sorry.
People want to know, there are people out there that really want to try to be in the theater world, but are scared and intimidated. So one of the things that I asked all of my interviewees to do is could you give a closing word of encouragement to any young, and since you traveled a lot, and have been around, what advice do you give to the young person that's thinking about becoming an actor or in the world and traveling? What advice do you give them to keep their encouragement up if they come across what they feel may be barriers to their wanting to be an actress or actor?
Well, it's going to be hard, but remember, you can do hard things. You get up every day, you breathe, you take care of yourself, or whatever that may look like. And in acting, you just have to remember that in portraying this art, this piece, you're also portraying a piece of yourself. And you can't do that well if you don't take care of yourself. So remember to take care of yourself. And if you're facing a boundary, don't be discouraged. Don't run at it head on. Take a moment, reflect, look at your toolkit meaning the people in your life, your personal skill set, and the information you have access to, and find a way, because you can do it.
Well, I want to thank you, Miss Alanna, for being with me on Julie Whitney Scott Presents. I hope that once this COVID thing is over, that you and I can personally get together and have lunch and continue our interview of our just personal relationship, because I think that you are one of those young ladies that I would love to just spend some time with and get to know on a personal level.
Oh, thank you. I want to be your friend too, Miss Julie.
All right.
Never part. All right.